Hey guys, so still doing a little bit of live analysis in the moment when it comes to the clip we're watching of Dali's death today. I think it's kind of a fun discussion to see when good warriors die. And yeah, World of Warcraft is all based around warriors when it comes to vanilla. They are both the best tanks and the best DPS. So as the tank, you want to use all your offensive and strong spells at the start of the fight so that you get a higher threat lead, put out more damage, just do the most. Whereas as a DPS warrior, you want to save your Death Wish for the last 30 seconds of the fight, as your execute spell does more damage. So at the end of the fight, that's when you unload with execute during Death Wish phase, as well as wreck, yada, yada, yada. Any kind of offensive stuff, right? It's all about that timing. The problem is that fight that you just watched, it's a 30-second fight or less. So the tank and the DPS are all pressing their spells at the same time. And you just have to hope that the tank presses better spells. And that's a lot easier to do on Alliance side. It's the same rotation. Again, if you are a tank or a DPS, you press Bloodthirst. As a DPS, you probably want to first press Sunder though, so that when your tank press Bloodthirst and it misses, you're not going to die when yours crits. And that's kind of what happens here with Dali, is he gets crits, whereas the other main tank does not get crits. However, as we're going to see here, the tank does not press their Death Wish spell. So if this tank on the next boss here at the start had pressed Death Wish, I think that would have been enough of a threat differential that even with bad button pressing, even with bad luck on spells landing, it still would result in not a death. And again, like, I don't know exactly in the moment if Myosin was just suddenly tasked to start on this boss. I don't know the exact lore background when it comes to the late raid preparation, but I am a little bit surprised in a group that is so giga gamer like this. What I mean by that is these guys have been running together for a long time, years at this point. These guys have been playing the same version of the game and doing these same raids. So a lot of them are very experienced. I'm exaggerating a little bit in the sense that there's always turnover. Some of these guys are not those same people that have been playing for a long period of time. But you get the point. The leadership is experienced and have done these raids hundreds of times at this point. So they're able to go really fast. They're pressing their W spell the entire time moving forward because they are expecting their raid group to all be on the same page and doing their jobs. That's why they're going so much faster compared to a lot of the other groups that you see doing BWL. They have full buffs, so maximum possible output. And you just don't see that in a lot of other groups. When you have more deaths, you lose these extra buffs, and that's why Dolly is upset. When you lose your world buffs, you're not going to be critting as much, you're not going to be hitting as high damage, and it's just not as fun. So that's what makes these good raids so good, is no one's dying, and they're just all putting out their maximum. But Dolly puts out his maximum, and the tank does not. So he does press Sunder first, and then he does Bloodthirst, which crits, and Whirlwind, which crits, and he's just critting nonstop. If there was a better warrior piloting this account, you could survive this. Again, partly on the tank for the tank not using their offensives properly at the start. Mighty Rage, that kind of stuff. I would assume you probably want to use a Stone Shield though. This is a really hard hitting boss. So that's part of the trouble, is this tank usually on Broodlord will be a little bit more defensive. That's just a general tactic. Broodlord hits really hard. You saw how it one-shot Dolly. Even with full buffs, even with Titans, that's an incredible amount of damage that he just took in one hit. But you could press a lip and survive this. If you understood that your tank was bad and was watching the threat meter, just watching it right there, press lip. When you see yourself get kind of high like that, watch out. I don't know if the tank was saying anything over comms of, bad opener. That would be indicative of then, okay, I should probably press my lip. But again, it's pretty split second, but if you understand that you are dealing with someone that's not great, in the moment someone could survive that. So let's now watch the logs. So dude was pressing Demo Shout from the start, which I just don't think is great as the main tank. If we look at casts, first spell demo, no bueno. The heroic strike misses. So now we'll look at damage, but BT 7 seconds in and no sapper is sussy. So again, damage done. The first heroic strike, Broodlord dodges it. His second melee hit is a miss. He doesn't get any crits until his like fifth or sixth hit. So when you get a crit, you then hit faster for your next 3 hits as a Fury Warrior, which everyone is. So that then is an attack steroid, right? So this tank didn't have that attack steroid at the start. And it just feeds on itself. When you're hitting this fast, you get 1 out of 3 hits that were a fast hit, that's another crit. So suddenly you're just constantly hitting faster and critting, critting, critting. But that didn't happen on the opener here for Myosin. So that's why, right? Pretty simple. Not super complicated, but it's the little things that add up and change a raid from being perfect to not perfect. So just kind of fun to talk about.